Joining us now with stories trending around the world is Ojy Okpe. Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Abati. How are you this morning? Good morning, Ayo. Looking lovely in red.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rufy on fire. How are you this morning? Fantastic. Thank you. Well, good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending, discussing the deadly incident in Plateau State on Monday after terrorists killed at least 10 people in coordinated attacks across the state's Barkin, Ladi and Riyom local government areas. The deadliest attack occurred around 7:30 p.m. at a relaxation spot in Dorowa Babuje village and Barkin Ladi local government area, where suspected Fulani militants opened fire indiscriminately, killing 7 to 9 people, a near simultaneous assault in Jong community in Riyom local government area claimed 1 additional life. The assaults have sparked protests and heightened fears of reprisal violence in the volatile Middle Belt region.
You know, the terrorists are there, they are killing people, they come with their cows, grazed on farmland, poison their cows, and allege that we are the one killing their people by laying ambush and shift them, blame on us and come with this terror attack on us. We have been pushed to the wall, though. We've been saying, I may not feed again, and nobody should summon me for anything. Nobody should summon us for anything. Our Plateau people good to be killed like this, and Nigerians good to be killed like this, and the terrorists are there moving freely. Sir, are stopping Fulani from grazing, on our land. If they have any land belonging to them, they should go and graze there. Our land is not for any grazing, and I wish STF is here, so that they should know that this is our what.
All right, no arrests have been reported as at the filing of this report. Well, videos on burial service drew hundreds of mourners to an open field on Monday. Reverend Ezekiel Dachimo led an emotional prayer service with community members. Now, communities are appealing for sustained military presence to prevent further reprisals. Meanwhile, hundreds of protesters blocked highways on Monday, demanding better security. Some community members of Ratatis and Dorowa Babuje are accusing authorities of selective response, only intervening after counterattacks occur. On February 19th, 5 Fulani youth were ambushed near Jong community while traveling on motorcycles from Dorowa Babuje. One victim was beheaded. Others were shot. Videos circulating on social media shows a mass Islamic burial with mourners placing shrouded bodies in a communal grave. Fulani advocates claim their losses go underreported because victims are Muslim or nomadic, while Berom groups like the Youth Molders Association cite ongoing massacres and demand federal action against what they call Fulani terrorists. Now, Governor Caleb Mutfwang's administration is facing, criticism from both sides. Both sides are saying that there's some bias, Dr. Abati. At this point, we're seeing these sort of attacks between these two communities. We've seen one from the Fulani, 5 Fulani young people were killed indiscriminately. And, just yesterday, 10 of our Nigerians were killed. Your thoughts before I take this comment from the
I think it's very unfortunate, and it speaks to the tragedy that we face. Very much like Egyptian literature. In Egyptian literature, there is this dominant theme of retribution and revenge. Whether you are reading Naguib al-Mahfouz or you are reading Tawfiq al-Hakim. And we use, Egyptian literature, even the modern contemporary writers, to teach how blood feeds on blood because of a certain culture about dignity, about honor. You kill my person, it's a matter of honor for me to also kill your person. And that is the kind of thing that we're seeing in Plateau State. They will keep Christians in one community, I think it's in Barkin Ladi and in Birum area. And then the Islamic militants, jihadis, will do retribution and also, kill Christians. Christians will kill Muslims. I think it's a spectacle that does not speak well in terms of the level of security in the country. No individual, whether Christian or Muslim, should be subjected to the indignity that we see, to the loss of life that we have seen. And it's a reminder, a loud reminder, not a subtle one, that the Nigerian government still needs to do a lot more to protect the dignity of the human person, to ensure that persons are not killed, eliminated, harassed, hounded, just because they belong to a particular faith. And that is why, recent developments in terms of collaboration with the United States is important. And the Nigerian government has always, maintained the position that it has an obligation to protect the lives and property of every Nigerian, be you a Muslim or a Christian or a traditional religionist. Yeah. And we keep saying they must walk the talk.
Yes, they must walk the talk.
When all of us are safe, we say that, this is a much safer country, as promised.
You're absolutely right. We're hearing deaths every single day in Nigeria. Really unbecoming, really sad. And, may their souls rest in peace, those young men, 10 of them, and 5 last week. Speaking about cooperation, Dr. Abati, meanwhile, U.S. lawmakers have delivered a comprehensive report to the White House, outlining specific measures to combat Christian persecution and extremist violence in Nigeria. The February 23rd presentation marks a significant escalation in congressional pressure on Abuja to address religious violations. Congressman Riley Moore led the bipartisan delegation that formally handed over the document to the Trump administration. The congressional document proposing sweeping actions, negotiating a bilateral U.S.-Nigeria security agreement, conditioning American aid on verifiable progress, and imposing targeted sanctions under the Global Magnitsky Act against individuals or groups complicit in violations. The report specifically names the Meeti Allah Cattle Breeders Association and officials enabling blasphemy enforcement. The lawmakers are demanding the repeal of Sharia and blasphemy laws in states where they are applied, disarmament of militias, persecution of perpetrators, and improved protections for displaced communities. While the White House hasn't commented on next steps, but the report signals potential escalation in U.S. pressure if Nigeria fails to demonstrate measurable progress on religious freedom protection. But however, implementing these sweeping measures may present, significant diplomatic challenges. I know that you have gone through the document and you've seen some of those measures, especially some of these, enforcements of, disarming the Sharia law or, changing all of that. It might, it might prove challenging for them. I don't know how that implementation might work, but it is welcoming to hear the sort of collaboration when you talk about persecution of militias, the terrorist group, and that sort of rhetoric is what we want to hear with the collaboration.
All right, I like the word collaboration that you emphasize on. Yes. I don't think this is a collaboration, mind you. I think this is the US taking charge and inviting Nigeria when it thinks it needs to come on the table. Yes, they have talked about collaboration, but truly, when you read the report, there's nothing collaborative about this. The recommendations, the stark numbers that were mentioned, it was an indictment because they said that Nigeria is actually the most difficult country currently to live as a Christian, where Christians are persecuted. That was stated in their report. But when you talk about recommendations, this is where, and that's why I come to the point of it's not a collaboration, because I'm not sure how Nigeria would achieve some of the recommendations made by Rep. Riley Moore and the committee that worked on this.
More detailed.
There's more detailed, but it's there. But in truth, they are setting very divisive recommendations that were there that I don't think even Nigeria was part of that committee, they would agree to. Number one, we've often talked about the Sharia law and the history of the Sharia law, that it's more complicated and complex than just saying do away with it. It started from the Obasanjo administration, and yes, you might have conversations and thoughts around it, and a number of people have come out to say that this is one of the reasons why it's difficult to practice Christianity in certain parts of the country, but there are constitutional, conversations around that. It's not just coming up with a report and stating that. Then he also talks about, Russia, relationships with Russia and China, and talking about how, the Chinese sometimes take advantage and perpetuate these acts by paying these militia groups to protect them when they illegally mine our resources. We need to investigate that because there have been undercurrents around these illegal minings going on and the funding of these illegal mining. So whilst we might disagree with the US position on how Nigeria should interact with other, international partners like Russia and China, there's still some substance there that needs to be investigated, and we need to see more about that. But in other areas, a lot, if you go and read under the comments, you would almost feel sad or embarrassed being in Nigeria. People were hailing, oh, thank you so much. Now come and monitor our elections. You have done really well. But of course, this is ignorant response, because it's not everything as a Nigerian that I should agree. We are still a sovereign nation the last time I checked. But other recommendations, the collaboration of coming together to ensure that aid is provided.
So there's collaboration.
Aid is provided for the people living in the IDP camps, internally displaced camps, and for that process to be transparent and the money is monitored. Yeah. Also based on achievable outcomes as well. I thought that was really good. And we should begin to see how we phase out and take out people from the IDP and resettle them into the communities. They also talk about protection of lives and properties in these areas and concerted efforts that must be made by the government to ensure the protection of lives and properties, especially in the middle belt areas or areas that have been flagged off. This would have a ripple effect, but on the whole of it, it's bittersweet. Good, because finally attention has been brought to this matter that has been talked about for too long in Nigeria but has been covered. But bad because it's quite sad that another country seems to be taking the lead in what Nigeria ought to primarily be taking a lead on in terms of protecting its own people.
Yeah, I mean, you highlighted, there's no harm in collaborating. I mean, because this is how nations survive, really. And, there's some sort of diplomatic relations that we need to continue to engage to solve these problems, severe problems that we're facing in Nigeria. Well, meanwhile, Rufai, in a shocking development, a new report from AFP has sparked reactions as it alleges that the Nigerian government paid 2 billion naira to Boko Haram terrorists in exchange for 230 students and staff of St. Mary's Catholic School after they were kidnapped last November. According to the report, 3 sources told AFP that Nigeria's federal government flew via helicopter to one of Boko Haram's hideouts in Goza, northeastern Borno State, and transferred the funds to Ali Ngulde, one of the group's militant commanders. And because of poor network in the area, Ngulde reportedly had to leave Nigeria and travel to Cameroon to confirm receipt of the money. Once confirmed, 100 children were released. 2 Boko Haram commanders were also reportedly released as part of the deal. Now, the allegations from this report raise serious questions around what went into securing the victims' freedoms. Nigerian security services categorically denied paying any ransom, stating government agents do not pay ransoms, when we're told that the National Security Advisor, Nuhu Ribadu, led the 2-week negotiations that secured the children's release in December. Now, this new report counters the government's claim, and if ransom was paid, it sets a dangerous precedent when it comes to funding of terrorist operations and hinders any sort of, achievement that we can make in this issue that we are facing in Nigeria. Your thoughts?
Ojy, Nigeria is a country that has been battered, that has lost its spine, and that is now degrading. And that's a sad reality. From the comments Ayo made as regards America trying to tell you what to do and not collaborating, it's an indictment to say they were trying to collaborate. They were upending your sovereignty right in front of you. Because if they tell you don't deal with Russia but deal with Hungary because Trump is close to Viktor Orban, they are upending your sovereignty. They are telling you that change your laws. They are telling you that we're taking responsibility for your country. Things you ought to provide as a sovereign nation for your people, you cannot provide it. They are taking away your sovereignty, upending your sovereignty. and you think it's something to be happy about, it's a reflection of a country that's on the spine, that is on its knees, that has lost the spine. It has also lost the spine because you can't fight insecurity. We keep asking, the Papiri people that happened, how did they get out? The National Security Advisor told us that, don't worry, they will release them. We keep asking, if you do not kill these people in an operation, that means something must have happened. But you see, whatever allegations that they made at the pay ransom is a waste, Ojy. You know why? Because some of the Papiri students were kidnapped in January when another attack happened around Niger. So when you look at what is happening in the country, you also now talk about the complicity. That's to show you that Nigeria has lost its spine. A case in point, still today, Ojy, who ordered the military to leave 30 minutes before the KB girls were abducted? So can we also extrapolate by saying, were the KB girls too paid? Were Ransom paid for the KB girls before they will have been released? Because that was how they were released. Without shooting, without anything. What kind of deal went on?
Those are the questions, Rufai.
And secondly, who ordered the military to leave 30 minutes before? Just like in the case of Woro, over 100 and something people have been kidnapped now. When they sent security reports, it took the military 10 hours to respond. Another point on complicity. When the village head in Woro sent a message to the security authorities, the bandits, the criminals, the terrorists intercepted that message, and that was why they strung. Another fourth point on complicity. So when you have all of this, and the National Security Advisor just says they are releasing people, then it shows that the nation has lost its spine. You know why? Because the general affirmation of every nation is its sovereignty and it is right to be able to protect the people in Section 14 of Section 2. So if the government has lost it in any shape or form, then it is a case of water don't pass Gary or yam pepper scatter issue after yoro. So we are in a dilemma as we speak today, Ojy. And that's why when I submit to you that we do not have security, people think I don't know what I'm saying. It's because I've looked at all the parameters and say that if you are protected in this country, it's just by the grace of God you sleep and wake up. Ojy, if the men of the criminal world decide to attack or strike anybody close to you, they will do it without anything happening to them. That's the kind of country we are. And that's why you see America is dictating to us. And you can see that Nigerian government has lost its spine so much that in all of this conversation, instead of us to go ahead and take the fight to these people, killing people in Jos and in the likes and everything, what are we doing? We are paying millions to go and do PR and propaganda by trying to appease America by telling America that we are trying to fight the problem when the problem is still on ground.
All right.
Successive governments failed, but the failure of these governments is ironclad.
All right. Dr. Bati, I'd like your thoughts on the two story, but I want to take this story so that, you can tie it all together. I mean, it's not a story together, it's just because of time. But I want you to touch on those two stories as well after you discuss this. Now, let's turn our attention to this clip from the Arise News primetime show on Friday, which is now circulating on social media. In the clip, the national leader of the Zenith Labour Party, Dan Nwanyangu, vividly recalled a time when he and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu visited the late MKO Abiola when he was in a Lagos hospital. But during one of those visits, Abiola told Nwanyangu that one of the reasons he wanted to be president was because of an emotional encounter with a chief surgeon at a London hospital who happened to be Nigerian. Let's take a look.
When Abiola had a swollen leg, he was admitted in a co-hospital in Lagos, room 437. I was the only non-member of the family that was with him. The wives will bring food, leave it with me. I will serve him. After eating, I will eat the remnants. Abiola called me one day, comrade, do you know why I want to be president? I said, tell me, Mr. President. He said there was a time I went for surgery in King's Hospital, London. They wheeled me to the theater. 6 doctors were in the room, 3 on my right, 3 on my left. They're all white people. After 10 minutes, sir, do the thing, let me go. He said, no, we're waiting for the chief surgeon. Not long, one black man came with 2 other doctors. When the black doctor entered, he moved close to Abiola, Eka Sosa. Abiola said, Kiloruke, what's your name? Are you a Nigerian? I say yes. Abiola told me tears dropped from his eyes. He said, comrade, I will bring all these people back in Nigeria and put those hospitals here. Charles, are you telling me that we cannot put King's Hospital in every state in Nigeria? Are you telling me we cannot put these hospitals here? They have stolen the money for the hospitals from the center. You are selling on you, we are not seeing the money. In the past, how many years today? Abiola told me, he cried, that was part of the reason why he wanted to be president. President Tinubu is aware of it. I'm calling him because every day we're in Abiola's house.
Nwanyanwu's recollection underscores a persistent challenge that has only worsened since Abiola's time. Nigeria's healthcare crisis is driven by systematic corruption. The result is a system where wealthy Nigerians, including sitting officials, routinely seek treatment abroad, spending an estimated $1.5 billion annually on medical tourism, while public hospitals lack basic supplies. Doctors migrate in droves, with over 5,000 leaving for the United Kingdom and the United States in recent years alone. The irony identified, which is skilled Nigerian surgeons thriving overseas while their homeland suffers, remains Nigeria's most damning indictment. Your thoughts?
Okay, very quickly and briefly, Dan Nwanyanwu, what are the points? One, Dan Nwanyanwu obviously is an Igbo man, but this was an Igbo man who was left alone to stay with Oshiomhole Abiola in hospital by his family. He was the one who would present the food to him and then stay with him and look after him. Chinua Achebe has said in a book that there was once a country, there was indeed once a country called Nigeria, where whether you were Igbo or Yoruba or Ejagam or whatever did not matter. People related on the basis of humanity. It is unfortunate that our country now has become a place where people no longer trust each other, and they cannot relate together on the basis of their own humanity. Second point is about the health sector. Now, we have always said that a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And apart from agriculture and education, we've talked about health. Now, this same country, the Nigeria that Nigeria became, we once had a minister of health who said any doctor that wants to migrate or go and look for a job in Saudi Arabia or South Africa can go away, that we have enough doctors here. But the reality is that we do not have enough doctors in a country that has the highest maternal mortality and infant morbidity rate in the world. So, health is important. That's the other message that Nwanyanwu was pointing out. Now, we once had a man who was undeclared president of Nigeria, although they have tried to make remedies subsequently, who wanted to address the health sector, but he was not allowed to claim his mandate because some elements in the Nigerian military, for their own personal reasons, aborted the June 12 election, the freest and fairest election by admittance ever conducted in the history of Nigeria. The fourth point is about the fact that medical tourism, which takes a lot of money, it's not only Oshiomhole Abiola who gave that testimony. Other Nigerians too will go to South Africa, they will go to UK. They will be told that the best experts are even in Nigeria, or the best experts abroad in the particular fields are Nigerians. But the same people that Oshiomhole Abiola wanted to bring home, other presidents eventually brought home some people, but when they brought them home, go and find out what their experience was. Nigeria, as we say, will happen to them. Nigerians, as we have been told to say, will happen to them. And do you know how many experts have returned to wherever they came from? The challenge, therefore, is to create, whether it's in education or health or agriculture or any other field of endeavor, an environment where Nigerian talents can flourish, so that Nigeria does not frustrate the best that we have, so that we do not become like Ireland at the turn of the 19th century that became a provider of talents for other countries, principally the United States. Now, very quickly on the other two issues. The thing about America dictating to us and all of that, we should put this in proper context. America is not dictating to Nigeria. That has not happened. We cannot say America is violating our sovereignty. That has not happened. what has happened is that on October 31, 2025, the president directed Riley Moore and the committees on appropriation and foreign relations to go and investigate the alleged Christian genocide in Nigeria. Now, those congressional committees had hearings. Bipartisan trips were made to Nigeria. The Nigerian leaders met with the Americans and all of that. And Riley Moore had been mandated to submit a report to President Trump. What they have now done is that Riley Moore, leading the investigation committee, has now, with the committees, appropriation and foreign affairs, submitted a report to President Trump in the White House. The United States has not adopted that report. The government of Donald Trump has not made any pronouncement on that report. The Nigerian government has also not responded to it. This is the opinion of the investigating team. And what happens hereafter is when we will be able to make definitive statements. One quick very point that I can make is about the recommendation that Nigeria should do away with the Sharia.
That was what
the Sharia is a constitutional matter. The process of how it came about has been well articulated by Matthew Hassan Kuka, now Bishop, in his book, Religion, Politics and Power in Northern Nigeria. Now, the decision when the 1979 Constitution was being formulated was that it would be a personal orthodoxy. Sharia is supposed to apply to persons who submit themselves to it. The abuse is the problem. Its conversion in Zamfara State in 1999, further emulated by other states in this country, into a criminal orthodoxy. That's where the problem is. So nobody can say President Tinubu can unilaterally abolish Sharia. He cannot do that. If it is a constitutional matter, it will have to go through the Constitution. The recommendation that Nigeria should do business with France, Hungary, and UK is still, to the best of my knowledge.
And that's why I summarized that it will be hard to implement. Most of those will be hard to implement. Now, shall we turn our attention to politics, with Edo North Senator Adams Oshiomhole telling a crowd that after feeling abandoned when he was removed as APC national chairman in 2020, it was FCT Minister Wike who reached out to him during those difficult moments. Oshiomhole made these comments on Monday in Benin City, adding that Wike is someone who knows the true meaning of friendship. Let's take a look.
This is a man who knows the meaning of friendship. He also identified with short people when they are in distress. After I had been dismissed as national chairman of the ruling party, after I have led them to victory against Sekutu that took second in PDP, where Governor Wike, as it was minister, and I thoroughly used this my mouth to abuse PDP. Even in Port Harcourt, when I was dismissed, I became lonely, abandoned by my own party. People are even afraid to visit me because it could be termed anti-party. And I got a call from a real Nigerian who identified with those who are lonely, and invited me to Port Harcourt to commission a flyover. Can you imagine that? Can you give the Honorable Minister a round of applause?
Well, all right, still in Edo State, Governor Ojy Okpe is trending on social media after a video surfaced over the weekend showing him stumbling while attempting to say President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's National Honors title, Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, during the 2026 Niger Delta Games. Let's take a look.
Your Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, our father, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GFS Parole. GFS Parole.
Bakomisa,
GFXXXS GSFS GFSSF FSSS.
Okay, I know, but you know you can GSM. Can you come to you can
the idea you need.
Your state. You know I'm always coming to you with those state stories.
So I want to go back to during the campaigns when Dr. Bati gave a very good recommendation that sometimes we should allow our public service, public officials to speak in their indigenous languages. Maybe it would be more palatable.
No, is this a language issue? It doesn't speak.
What is
GCFR? He forgot. He was just
let me look at GCFR might mean something different that he would be more familiar with and remember in his indigenous language. Let me just put that as a statement. But truly, anybody can make a mistake. Anybody can make a mistake.
Comment before we continue on more politics.
Yoruba should say, Lobaton.
What does it mean? It is finished.
It is finished.
What it done?
The thing speaks for itself.
C'est fini.
When those state people, when they had the option of having Asue Ighodalo, an educated guy, very obeying, experienced, they didn't want him.
It's their choice.
They chose Okpebolo. Monday Okpebolo. Please, let the people of Edo State, let them live with their choice. Abi, simple civics that they teach their children in school. Maybe he was trying to recommend.
He forgot. I don't think
he had a speech.
No, but it's just the acronym. He didn't have.
GCFR
he forgot the acronym.
Has now become GSS, GSM, GSFR.
GFN.
The thing speaks for itself.
Wait.
All right.
Let me just quickly make an excuse for them. It's AI. That's what they will say.
Oh goodness! No, it wasn't AI. But the truth is, people do make mistakes. And you people skipped Oshiomhole.
What kind of mistake
said that he's lonely. Oshiomhole said he was in the video.
Everybody who goes to should read Dr. Bati's article. The phone no longer rings. It will be for everybody.
Yeah, Oshiomhole said he was lonely and he was very wicked. Yes.
Is he a private jet?
No. Senator Oshiomhole was talking about the humanity of Minister Wike.
Yes.
Now, Wike is a man who looks out for his friends.
Yes.
Now, you may criticize him on other things, but this is a testimony of his of the kindness of his heart.
Yes.
And, Senator Oshiomhole, being his friend, I think it's kind of him also to say publicly that this is a good man. You may criticize him for other things, but
he's also a man that all the things him and his friends did when the going is good, when the going is bad, he easily says them out like he was exposing.
No, but people you have different kinds of experiences. This is Senator Oshiomhole saying this is a good man.
I'm just saying another experience to balance.
To the people whose lands have been taken back.
Yes,
that's the most important. So we don't want just one person's testimonial. What we want as a public, servant is that the milk of kindness should flow.
The truth is that you cannot please everybody.
Yes, we know.
You cannot please everybody.
Well, it's all about politics. It's all about politics at the end of the day too. But we did also have a story on Rotimi Amechi going to visit the mosque. I think the video was about 2 months ago, which now resurfaced online, and he's wearing a turban, and people were saying politics can actually make a lot of people do things. But he was turbaned, so people don't remember that he was actually turbaned. And there's Amechi in the mosque, and then this video, first started trending in December, and we're just getting the video, and it's trending, and people are saying, "What's happening now?" He's mixing with the Muslims, but Amechi was actually turbaned. All right, can we take our final story? Yes, go ahead.
I think that former Minister Amechi, the message here should be about the unity of the faiths.
Yes.
He's a Christian. See him identifying with Muslims. I think that is something to be commended.
Right.
And don't forget that is the Dan Amana Daura.
That's what I meant. Dan Amana
Daura.
Correct.
So this is also identifying with people, who have appreciated him.
All right. I like that. I like that a lot. We love that collaboration. Well, let's end what's trending today with a special announcement. The Arise News channel will mark International Women's Day with the inaugural African Women of Impact Awards, recognizing 100 of the continent's most influential women. The event will honor leaders across governance, business, healthcare, technology, and creative industries. Honorees include former Nigerian First Lady Aisha Buhari, whose birthday is today, UNAIDS Executive Director Winnie Banyema, and South African politician Helen Zille. The honorees reflect a cross-section of African excellence with strong representation from Nigeria alongside leaders from South Africa, Kenya, Zimbabwe, Ethiopia, Mauritius, Sudan, Cote d'Ivoire, Niger, as well as accomplished African women in other parts of the world.
So 90B ladies night. I know one know your zodiac sign. Pisces, Leo, Gemini. All of us find the way that we are. My guess not from Geo. Why we dey ball like a gao? Everything nice when you dey my corner. Anything for that woman commando. And as in a woman commando. Woman commando.
Congratulations to all the women. I mean, the award highlights African female leadership shaping institutions and driving policy across the continent and globally. I can't wait. Women's Month, March 8th. Yeah. Everybody get ready. I'm sure it will be at Eco Hotel, as always. Well, congratulations.
We also have Men's Month.
We do have that. All right,
women too will get awards.
All right. November. At this point, we'll continue on the story. I'd like to thank you all for your great analysis, as always, on What's Trending. Well, that's all I have for you guys on What's Trending today. I'll see you all tomorrow.